and the woodcutter. Once upon a time, a kind-hearted woodcutter was chopping wood in the forest. Yo-heave-ho! Yo-heave-ho! A deer ran to the woodcutter and said, "Help! Help! A hunter is chasing me!" So the kind-hearted woodcutter hid the deer. Soon after, the hunter showed up and asked, "Have you seen a deer running over here?" The woodcutter pointed. Try that way." When the hunter left, the woodcutter helped the deer out. The deer said, "Thank you for helping me." And the deer took the woodcutter to a small pond.
This is where the fairies bathe. If you hide one of their winged gowns, you can marry a fairy. But don't give it back to her until she has 3 children,
said the deer. When it got dark, the woodcutter crept to the pond. Just as the deer said, beautiful fairies were bathing in the pond. "All right, I'll hide one of the gowns." The woodcutter hid and waited for the fairies to finish bathing after hiding one of their gowns. When the fairies finished bathing, they flew back into the sky. But only one fairy was left behind.
"Oh no! My winged gown is missing!"
Then the woodcutter showed up and said, "I have your winged gown, so please be my wife." The fairy had no choice but to become the woodcutter's wife, and she gave birth to 2 children. Sad-faced, the fairy one day said, "Can you please show me my winged gown?" The woodcutter felt sorry for her, so he took out the winged gown and showed her. As soon as the fairy saw the winged gown, she was delighted and said, "Oh, my winged gown! Please, let me try it on just once." The fairy went up to heaven in her winged gown, holding her 2 children in her arms. The woodcutter went to find the deer and asked for help.
"The fairies carry water using a bucket. Tonight, a big bucket will come down into the pond. And if you get into the bucket, you will find the fairy and the children,"
the deer said. The woodcutter was able to get to heaven with the help of the deer. The woodcutter met the fairy and the children in heaven and lived happily ever after. Hungbu and Norbu. Once upon a time, there lived a greedy older brother, Norbu, and a nice younger brother, Hungbu. When their parents died, Norbu took all their possessions and threw his brother Hungbu out. Hungbu was kicked out to a thatched hut and was always poor. He went to the Norbu's house and said, "Brother, can you lend me a bushel of barley?" But the Norbu's wife wouldn't help him.
"We don't have anything to eat for us! Take this instead of the barley!"
and slapped him on the cheek with a rice spatula. Hungbu, picking at the rice sticks on his cheeks, walked back home. One spring day, a snake attacked the swallow's house, and Hungbu chased it away with a stick. But one of the baby swallows fell to the ground and broke his leg.
Poor thing! I'll help you right away.
He tied the swallow's leg well together. The following spring, a pair of swallows flew into the house. They were the same swallows whose legs he had helped. He said,
"Right! You're the same swallow that broke its leg last year!"
The swallow gave him a gourd seed, which he planted on his roof. In the fall, a huge gourd ripened on the roof. When the Hungbu's children saw the gourd, they were so excited and said,
"Father! Father! Come out here! There are gourds all over the roof!"
"Let's take the gourd and boil the inside and eat it," said Hungbu to his children. The family borrowed a saw and started chopping gourds. "Saw, saw, let's take the gourd. Saw, saw, let's take the gourd," they chanted.
"Wait, what? That's rice!"
They were so happy. In the second gourd, they got gold and silver treasures and silk. In the third gourd, carpenters came and built them a nice tiled house. They were so happy. Meanwhile, when the greedy Norbu heard the news, he immediately caught a swallow, broke its leg, and patched it back up. The next year, when the swallow came back with a gourd seed, Norbu planted it with a big smile on his face. In the fall, a huge gourd ripened on Norbu's roof. Norbu got excited and started sawing away at the gourd, saying, "Saw, saw, let's take this gourd. Saw, saw, let's take this gourd." Sawing away. In the first gourd,
"Ew, it stinks!"
there came the yellow feces. The second gourd, the goblin came out, and he beat Norbu and his family with a bat. In the last gourd, the thief came out and stole all the goods, and Norbu became a beggar. When the good-hearted Hungbu heard about this, he came to the greedy Norbu and said,
"Brother, let's live together."
The Norbu regretted for his misbehaviors and lived with Hungbu.
Aliceballet.